Hey. So thank you so much for everyone that's joining me today live. It's so nice to see all your faces and for you to be here for this free workshop. And everyone joining on the replays, thank you so much for watching and making the time. And yeah, I actually want to honor everyone that's turned up today because making the time to be here is awesome and huge. And I know that everyone's got busy stuff in their lives going on. And I'm so grateful that this workshop resonated with you. I feel like the conversation of the in between and this space that we navigate through is so important. I feel like we go through life constantly in transitions and change and things moving. That is life. And yet we're left to figure it out. And unless we have awareness around where we are, then we don't know where we're going through. And so the biggest thing for me is getting this message out. I was hit with this in between and the real awareness around it when I moved to Queenstown last year in July. I had inklings of it, but I've never been able to put it into a concept. But we moved in quite a quick time frame, 5 weeks woe to go. And got here, allowed myself a week to recalibrate, had client sessions, had a workshop I was running, and I got hit like a train. Once I arrived. I think I was about maybe like 7 days after I arrived, and my body was it was in the in between, but I didn't allow for that space because I wasn't aware about it as well. I was a little bit, but I really wasn't aware of how it actually operated. And it wasn't until I moved through it and had the awareness around it that the concept kind of come through. I was like, wow, this is such a pivotal thing in life that we need to get out there and we need people to have awareness around. And so my intention for these next 3 days is that we're going to spend an hour each day together. I have got so much I want to share, but I've condensed it into the 3 days in a higher level, but you're going to get so much goodness out of it that it will, for me, this is like a transmission of all the goodness that I've kind of realized over the last 9 years into these 3 days. And essentially, the first day will give you awareness around where you are, what is kind of the inklings that have been holding you back or the areas. And then the day two is where we look at your power and your energy source and where you might have been giving that away. And then we look at the concept of radical responsibility, which I think is so important when you're on this journey. And through this whole thing, we're looking at what are we letting go of and what are we bringing in and where are we and what are we really wanting to step into? What's the identity? What's the way of being? What's the transition or the chapter? What are we wanting in our lives? And really calling that in and having some practices to go through that. So it'll be a mixture of me talking. Each day, I've created a little container for anyone that's come into this on an energetic sense so that you'll receive the goodness from an energy level as well. We're going to put in a goal for the 3 days. So essentially, this is like group kinesiology, but obviously it's teachings, and then there'll be some kinesiology, and then there'll be some guided meditation, some journaling as well. So make sure that you have a pen, paper, and some water, and we're just going to flow with it and see where we land. But at any point, you're welcome to ask questions. You can either take yourself off mute or speak or pop it in the chat. I would love like feedback and people to share stuff as well, because that's how we grow and learn. And yeah, what I'm really wanting to do is build community and awareness and about this in between and what we can do to navigate through it. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to put in a little goal for the session. So first we're going to go straight to this slide here. Excuse me while I figure out this. And just make sure, oh, hang on, that's gone off pause. You have to do this twice, I realized. Okay, can everyone see the in-between portal, the presentation? Perfect. Yes, so this is obviously the sacred journey to release, reclaim, and return to self. So today we're looking at releasing, but also the big thing for today is creating that awareness of where you are and where you might be holding yourself back or where you might need to move through and get some more flow in any of the areas. And so our intention for the 3 days is I've put this goal in because this is what I want us as a group and as energetics to work through. So we're going to set up for this. So firstly, do I have everyone's permission to set it up like this? Give me a thumbs up if you're okay with that. Yay. And Sylvia, I'm going to say that you're okay with that too. And Margaret and Caitlin, let me know if there's any issues in the chat. Otherwise, we are going to get into it. So our intention for today is, so we're going to set up for the surrogation for everyone. First, before that, what I'm going to do is check the switches of the group. And what I'm doing is there's a bit of survival mode showing up. So I'm just releasing that and getting you grounded in your body. The other thing that's showing up here is the disconnection between the brain and the body. So we're going to get that flushed. And yes, online people, this will work for you as well when you tune in. That's the way I've set it up. Okay, so, and everyone can either say this in their head or say it out loud. I now release and let go what no longer serves me.
I now release and let go of what no longer serves me.
And reclaim my power and wisdom within.
And reclaim my power and wisdom within.
While returning to the most aligned.
While returning to the most aligned.
Most authentic.
Most authentic.
Version of self.
Version of self.
Feeling secure.
Feeling secure.
Embodied.
Embodied.
Liberated.
Liberated.
And free.
And free.
Cool. So we're grounding that in, and that's showing us stress. So it's definitely a thing that we want to work on. So yes and no, is this the best goal for everyone's highest good? Yes. Is there anything to add, change, or delete? So we're going to pop that in, and that's our intention for this time. So I wanted to start with my journey and why I'm here and why I'm so passionate about sharing this in between. And as I kind of mentioned at the start, it is such a powerful and potent concept and portal that you go through that you don't really realize. And mine really began when I look back about when I became a mother, and what more of a potent portal to go through for this to happen. Like, I'm going to condense my short story into a couple of minutes, but I was 34 weeks pregnant with Taylor, so that's 9 years ago, and we were in a State Highway 100K car crash. So a young lady lost control, no fault of her own. She didn't do anything wrong. She just wet roads and small car, not good tires. And we T-boned her at 100K. I was 34 weeks with Taylor. It was just me and my husband in the car, and it was, yeah, the most stressful time of my life. I'm lucky that I did hypnobirthing. So as soon as it happened, I sat there with my belly and just felt, well, I might turn you guys on mute as well. Hang on. Just because I can hear a bit of background noise. You can unmute if you wanted to, when you want to talk as well. And I remember sitting there on in the car, just holding my belly. It was contorted to one side and just breathing. And it was, yeah, it was such a flurry from there. We ended up being okay physically, definitely bruised and battered and sore and whiplash, but the Taylor ended up being okay. Where she ended up arriving a week later. And that's also when my PTSD arrived. So I navigated that first year of parent life with PTSD, which was horrific and really confronting in regards to all the flashbacks. And even like I'd never experienced that, you know, you open the fridge door, boom, I smell the car crash. We go in the car and you see cars hitting into you. It was that really visceral experience of that fear. And so I spent that first year of parent life just trying to survive, really. I did therapy. I thought I kind of touched the sides of my trauma, but I really didn't. And then got pregnant and fell pregnant with my second born, Frankie, and thought nothing could ever be worse than that. And that's when probably, I think it was 6 weeks postpartum, have really good pregnancies. It's really not a lot of fear and anxiety, but I kind of thought that was normal. And yeah, postnatal anxiety hit around 6 weeks postpartum, and then I was just couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, lost 12 kgs, was just a real shell of my former self. And I struggled there for quite a long time, maybe a couple of months, and then I went back to work as part of my recovery, which was now looking back is wild because, you know, nervous system activation, being an executive assistant, looking after a team of nearly 100 and the CEO. with 2 little children and postnatal anxiety. And things really changed for me in September. It was 10th of September 2019. And that was where I was absolutely struggling. I was just in survival mode, anxious, an absolute mess. And I was round at a girlfriend's place, and we discovered she was talking about a friend who had really bad social anxiety. And she said, "Oh, you've got to try kinesiology." I was like, "What is it?" Booked it in. And that first session, I remember lying on the table, and just so you guys have experienced kinesiology, it was just everything she was talking about was how I was feeling. And I just felt myself and jumped off the table. I was like, wow. And that's really where my journey began from there. Moving through studying kinesiology, then leaving my job 3 years later, two years after that. And then that's where Create Flow was born. And so it was always about Create Flow was finding, like, creating flow within all areas of your life. And that came to a point, but then that purpose kind of didn't have that oomph behind it. And I went through this space, which is the in between, around it wasn't just that, but it was there's something else. And that's the concept that I want to talk to you about today, is that liminal space is this space in the in between when you're between two things. And I didn't realize I was there. And it's one of the most uncomfortable, really challenging places that you can be on if you don't have that awareness. And so my passion today is not just creating flow within people's lives, but allowing them to move through this in between and actually have support to move through it, know where you are, and then actually be able to navigate through that space into what's called luminal space, which I'll talk more in the coming slides. So yeah, my journey began with becoming a mother, going through those portals, having PTSD, postnatal anxiety, starting my own business, and moving through all the things. So I'm very passionate about flow. And that's why most of today I want to talk to you about flow and the ebbs and flows of life, and actually how you can move through them with awareness and what you need in each stage. And so the one thing that I wanted to share, this was a really important thing that I have understood over the last couple of years, and I loved the way that Gabor Mate, I don't know if you have heard of him, but it explains what kind of happens in the body. And this is exactly what happened to me. Years of people pleasing, years of looking after other people, and then becoming a mum, and just all the stuff that I went through. It's like trauma is a wound that you've sustained. It can be physical, but it can also be psychological or emotional. Trauma is a wound that you've suffered. Trauma is not what happened to you, it's what happens inside of you. It's the ongoing impact and effect afterwards. So one of the biggest impacts of trauma is the disconnection from yourself, from your feelings, and from your body. And this is a defensive function that keeps you safe and in the survival mechanism. The disconnection from self is one of the biggest impact of trauma, with all sorts of implications on physical and mental states. Essentially, it's the wound that constricts you and disconnects you from yourself. And so with my journey as well, I realized that not only was I on this journey of creating flow within all areas of your life, but I'm actually about returning to yourself, returning to the most truest version of yourself, returning to who you are without all this other thing that you're carrying, allowing you to release and let go of those things that have constricted you and kept you stuck, and that have been, inhibiting your mind, in your body, and in your soul. And so I really love this quote, because it is really the disconnection of self, and it's the impacts afterwards that have the effect. Gabor Mate's got some amazing different books and stuff. He's got a compassionate inquiry, a course that he does as well. He's amazing. And so the concept that I want to talk you through today is this ebbs and flows of life. And so everything in life is an ebb and a flow. And when we understand that that's the natural cycle of life, we can learn how to move through it. And when we're thinking of ebbs and flows of life, I want you to look at some other polarities in life, darkness, lightness, small, big, like there's so many different polarities in life that we get, that we move through, and ebbs and flows is this one of these polarities. And when we can actually understand what each part needs and wants, that's when we can actually create more flow in our lives, because we have the awareness of where we are and where we need to be, and then we know what we need in each phase. So that's why I'm so passionate about talking about this, because I feel like for me, I had to learn it the really hard way. by banging my head against the wall and coming back and then trying it again and coming back, and not really understanding this concept that everything is an expansion and a contraction. So the flow is the expansion and the ebb is the contraction. And that's the concept that we'll be talking about today. And that's the main thing that I'll be taking you through today. And obviously the space in between. So when we're looking at this graph here, yeah, there's the flow, which is the expansion, and then we go into the ebb, which is the contraction. And no matter what we go through in life, we are moving through these ebbs and flows constantly. Whether it's we're changing something, we're doing something, everything in life is moving through ebb and flow. I want you to think about times in your life when you have, what's an example? When you've gone out, say you've gone for a holiday with friends, you're having the fun time of your life, you're having drinks, you're having awesome times. That flow, eventually there will be an ebb that will come after that. And that's when we need to contract. We need to go inwards. We need to look after ourselves. And then eventually the flow will come again. And so I want to talk you through each of these bits because that's where we actually create the awareness of where we are and what we need in each of them. And I don't know if you can hear this. This is my daughter. So when I was doing the flow program last year, this is literally what she said. Listen to this.
The flow and the flow come back.
Can you hear that? Did the audio sound? Give me a thumbs up if you could hear that. No. So what she said was,
The flow and the flow come back.
go with the flow and the flow will come back to you. And I absolutely love that because she is right. If you go with the flow of life, the flow will come back to you. I love kids for that sort of information. So what I want to talk to you about is the ebb. So when we go into a contraction. And so in this ebb, what does it feel like when we're in the ebb? So ebbs are meant to be there because we have learnings and we have things that we need from this phase. So when we go into an ebb, we might feel stuck. We might feel criticizing ourselves. We might feel overwhelmed. There's something wrong. Why am I here? Why have I got enough energy? You might feel negative and pessimistic about your thoughts in your mind. And, you get into this judgment and we can be really hard on ourselves. You might feel disconnected. You might want to fix things. So what can happen is if we don't allow this natural flow to happen, we can get really stuck in this ebb. And in this ebb, we need time to rest and digest what we've been through, whether it was a move, a change, a life change, a holiday, or whatever it was. We need time to rest and we need time to digest that. The ebb is a natural state we go into because there is usually learnings in there. Okay, I didn't allow myself that space I needed. Next time I'll do that. We need to lower expectations of what we need in that time, what we're going to function like, what we expect of ourselves, what we expect of others. And the really interesting thing of this ebb was there was this concept I want to talk to you about, which is reserve tank energy. And this really helped me when I was thinking about the ebbs and flows of life and how we move through them, because we have this thing called reserve tank energy. So when we are doing something new in life or a new project, a new thing, we're learning something, we're going through a transition or a change, we have this reserve tank energy. And it's a finite amount of energy because we're learning something new. Say we'll use an example of starting a new job. You've got this reserve tank energy that you draw on while things are complicated, you're learning new things, you've got more stuff to do, you're in that transitional phase, and you draw onto that reserve tank. But at the end of that reserve tank, that's when we can get really stuck in this pessimistic, negative state. We can be really critical of ourselves. And it's because we've kind of come to the bottom of that reserve tank energy, and you will get forced into this ebb. Oh, God, this doesn't feel good. What's going on? And it's because what we actually need is we need to give ourselves some space and some time to fill that tank back up. Whether it's everyone's different about how they fill their tanks up. Some people like to, get outside, go in nature, take 2 days to themselves. You might even need 1 or 2 days off work. Or if you're a mother and you're looking after children, you might need to get some help from your partner or anyone of the guardian that's with you so that you can have some space to yourself. And when we look at this reserve tank energy, we really need to consider when we're going through life, when have we needed to draw on that? And how long have we been drawing on that? Have we just been doing all these new things, lots of change in our life, and that tank is at zero? What do we need to fill that up with? What can we do to give ourselves some of that tank back? And when you're in this ebb, it's like the awareness of what is happening in this ebb and why you're there. An ebb always comes after a flow. So there's always a natural ebb after a flow. Now, if you're moving through the flows and ebbs, you will kind of go through them with more ease. But if you're getting stuck, there'll be something that you need to learn, or something that you need to do, or something you need to give yourself, something you need to draw on. And it's about creating some space for yourself to actually realize that, and having that compassion for yourself, not being hard on yourself. Like, we go into these patterns of criticism, judgment. There's beliefs that come up. There's something wrong with me. What's going on? And you might need support in your ebb, support to move through it, to help you through that, to give your mind a break, to give your body a break, lower those expectations. And then what is the golden lesson of this ebb? What's going on here? Shivers. I looked after those people. I then went to this event. Then I actually booked a workshop right for that day, and whoa, man, I overdid that. That flow was so intense that I am now pushed into the ebb. And that's what happens if we overdo it as well. We get pushed into the other side. And so when we talk about the flow, that's obviously a different state. So that's that state when we feel like things are flowing. You feel like you have momentum. It's easy. It's light. There's nothing that can stop you. You're on a roll. You're energized. You're able to move forward. It feels good. We love the flow. We tend to love the flow more than the ebb, but both are just as powerful. And then afterwards, we'll talk about the space in between. When you're in this flow state, though, it is really important to be aware of your limits, to be aware of your energy tank. How much energy do I actually have for this? Whoa, do I have enough for this? Checking in with yourself. You know, when you're on a flow, you don't want it to end. You'll do all the things, you'll get all the things done, and then you'll notice your body will start giving you little signs about, my energy's starting to dip here. I'm noticing this coming in. I'm noticing I'm being really critical of my stuff. There'll start to be things that come in to the flow. It's going to give you signs and symptoms. And then if you're not listening to that, you will get pushed into the ebb, and the ebb will be more intense than it needs to be. So it's about understanding your limits, catching any limiting beliefs when you're in the flow, And one concept I really want to talk about is when you're in either of these sides, the flow, the ebb, or this in between, when we push or resist either of those states, that's when we don't get through that flow as it's meant to be. So when we push ourselves too much, which generally happens in the flow state, we push ourselves too much, we go too hard out, then we have to recoup that. So I want you to imagine like a wave coming up and then the wave going down. Like there's always that ebb and that flow. And so you need to honor yourself and listen to your body about where you're at, and think about some of the things I want you to start thinking about is, am I pushing in these flows, or you could even be resisting the flows. Am I noticing this flow of energy, but I've got these beliefs that I can't do this, I don't have enough energy, I can't do that, and you're pushing yourself back. You can also get stuck like that as well. Or we talk about the ebb. Generally, how will you push through the ebb? You'll push through the ebb by wanting to get out of it, not wanting to be there, not accepting it, thinking that there's something wrong, no, can't be here, you'll be doing all the things. But if you go with the natural flow of the ebb, okay, this week, lower my expectations. I'm not going to commit to those events. I'm not going to do those things. Actually, I need a friggin' massage, or I need a session, or I need a date with my friends to walk up and do a hike. Catching yourself and doing that, you'll move through that ebb with so much more ease. So it's really around having awareness of where you are in each of the phases and how your phases show up. So once you start having awareness of where you are, you'll get inklings of how you behave in a flow state and then how you behave in the ebb state. And you'll start to notice around what you actually need in each of those phases. So some people, it's very physical stuff where they might need more exercise, more hikes, more going outside. Some people might be the absolute opposite, where they need to be inside, away from people, and that's okay. They don't need the excuses. They don't need to know that, they don't need to be meeting all these people. They can give themselves that time of being in there. So it's about realizing where you are, noticing, are you pushing or resisting either of these phases? And what do you need in each of these phases for you to succeed and actually move through them? And I think, like the polarities in life, the concept that I want you to become really aware of as well is that there is always the two sides of things. We talk about the lightness and the darkness, the expansion and the contraction, the cold and the hot. Everything comes with a side. And once we can actually learn to accept both sides, that's when we get more of the flow. And as we can start to have awareness of where we are, that's when we get more flow. And we can micro adjust while we're in these phases and learn as we go. And it makes such a huge difference in life and as you move through them. And for me, even this concept of this ebb and flows, I ran a flow workshop last year. I think I emailed it out like February last year, and I learnt about this. Even I knew about it, but as I learnt more about it, it started changing in my life. So even the minutest micro changes that you can do in your life can make such a difference, whether it's honoring yourself and where you are, whether it's giving yourself rest, whether it's giving yourself time. When we talk about the reserve tank energy, like when I look back for that concept, when I look back at my life and, I came out of PTSD, postnatal anxiety, all while becoming a mum of one, then becoming a mum of two. Then I left my 12-year role as an executive assistant, started my own business, which I didn't realize is like a whole nother transition in being a solo, entrepreneur. And every single skeleton in the closet comes right to the top when you've got your own business. So then I was in my reserve tank energy was drain, and then I then have been moved through that and then have been in this little space in the in between. And I guess that's the space when we're moving through these ebbs and flows, you'll notice this little bit in here, which we're going to talk about now. So this little in between, you've got the ebb and the flow, and you've got the space, this liminal space in between. So this liminal space, and that's the other concept, it's in between or liminal, but some people don't really understand what liminal means. It's one of the most profound and transformative phases, yet it's also the most challenging. The space sometimes defined as the threshold between 2 points, identities, or life chapters. It's where the familiar fades and the new has not yet emerged. So it really is that in between. It's a place of uncertainty, often marked by discomfort, confusion, sometimes fear, lacking motivation. However, it's also where growth, healing, and self-discovery can happen. And it's at an accelerated rate, allowing for the development of resilience, clarity, and transformation. And this in-between phase is where all the integration happens. When you're moving through anything in life, you have this in-between. And it's so needed. When I look at my journey, then I started my business, but I was also studying. So I've been having 5 years of study with kinesiology, and I only finished my last module in February or January this year, actually. And so I've noticed since I stopped that study, I still have to complete some of my bookwork to get my diplomas, certificates. But I've noticed the difference in my ability to have capacity for things because I was drawing on that reserve tank even by going through all that stuff. So once we have space and capacity and allow ourselves to be in the in-between, that's where the magic really happens. And this is what I want to talk to, this concept of this in-between. And the biggest thing about the in-between is the ability for this sacred pause. Allowing yourself to pause, allowing your mind to catch up, allowing your body to catch up, allowing your soul to catch up. My mind, body, and soul was still catching up because not only did I start my new business, I studied, and I've also had, children growing up and everything, I didn't actually, looking back, the sacred pause is definitely something I would add more of through my life. And that's what I'm really realizing now. And since I've realized this concept, I allow myself time to pause now, whether it's napping, whether it's stopping fully and going outside, whatever it is for a sacred pause, stopping from learning all the things, doing all the things, having all the things. We are constantly like absolutely, there's so much stuff that comes at us that we need to do, need to have. I don't know if many have seen that meme, and it's like 2025, it's like, got to do this, got to do that, got to wear my face mask, got to do this. Like there's so many things we need to do. So the ability of the sacred pause is one of the most profound things that you can ever do. And this book, I don't know if you can see this book, but it's called Radical Acceptance. Lara Branch, and I'll put Tara Branch, sorry. I'll put this in the email that I sent to you. And Radical Acceptance talks about the concept of the sacred pause and this resting to digesting. In this in-between phase, you need to pause. You need to rest to digest. You need to integrate and assimilate everything that you've been through. There's so much that your body needs to process, and we feel like in this in-between phase that nothing's happening, we're not moving forward, we're but we are. You just can't see it. It's almost like that hidden, what can I compare it to? Like the liver. We can't see the liver, but holy heck, the jobs the liver does, cleaning and detoxifying everything in your whole body and on any level, is profound. This in-between space. I want to compare it to, there's a video, and it's got like a cup filled with like dirty water, and you might have seen this on Instagram. And I'll just check the chat. Oh yes, I'm just reading that from Camilla. Would you talk about the rebalancing of the ebbs and flows? Yeah, the concept of ebbs and flows in liminal space. Yes, so the concept of ebbs and flows and liminal space is the same for everyone. Everyone goes through it. It's not just men and women, but women actually get more affected by the ebbs and flows, obviously, because the cycles of life that we need to consider, like menstruation, transitional seasons, the needs of others. We've got a lot that we're moving through these ebbs and flows. And when I talk about this concept of this in between, imagine like a cup, it's filled with dirty water and you're pouring in the clean water, but it takes a while for the dirty water to filter through. So this is the space of the in between. You kind of can't really notice much happening, but it is working, but it still looks dirty, but there's so much going on in this in between, but we need to allow ourselves to rest, to pause, to digest it. What are we stepping in between? What are we wanting to let go of? What are we wanting to bring in? What's our body calling for? Are we resisting this in between? Are we wanting to push through it? And a lot of it is feeling through that in between as well, feeling the uncomfortableness, the uncertainty, feeling that feeling. And when you're in this in between, what's actually needed? So on the right side, you'll see acceptance of where you are, trusting in the process and that things will work out. Surrendering and letting go of expectations, of judgment, of where you need to be, of doing all the things that we need to get done, allowing yourself white space and the sacred pause. And so what can be happening in between this in-between phase is you're letting go of old ways of being, which no longer serve you. There's old habits, limiting beliefs, stories, patterns, and structures that you have outgrown. When do you know they're happening? They start to limit you. You start to feel constriction. You start to feel restricted. You start to feel like, why does this keep happening? It's because the body and the mind and the soul are so amazing at what they do. They constantly lay on a platter the things that we need to let go of or need to work through. And then if we've got all these limiting beliefs and stories around, what could some of them be? I talk about I had a really big, this came up probably not last year, the year before. I was really aware about my limiting belief there is not enough time. There's not enough time. It filtered through every single area of my life. every single area of my life was there's not enough time, there's never enough time. And it controlled my whole life, and it was really limiting me massively. And it wasn't until I think when I started using the Healy, the frequency device, I started noticing, holy hell, this time story is huge. And I operate that there's no time. Even if I have 3 hours in the day, I was counting down to the minute about what I need to get done and when. And it was just completely controlling my life. And the stories, what's some of the stories that are controlling your life? I won't be happy until I never get what I want. Things never work out for me. I've got bad luck. These are limiting beliefs and stories and patterns that don't serve you. When I was going through this in-between phase, when I started my business, I was studying, I was in between kind of this old identity of being an EA, becoming a business owner, creating this business called Create Flow. I had to let go of so many patterns. People pleasing, putting other people's needs before mine, not allowing my emotions to be processed, not giving myself space to actually feel my emotions, not giving me the white space, the slowing down of your nervous system to actually feel those things. What structures have you outgrown in the way that you're living? What isn't serving you anymore? This is what can be brought up in this in-between. You're moving into a new identity and way of being which actually serves you, but there is the letting go that needs to happen in this phase. So it's like you can actually be in the in-between and just move through the in-between. But if you feel like you're getting stuck in there and you're like, what is going on where I was? This is when I had to bring my conscious mind and be like, what are the stories that I'm telling myself? Where am I limiting myself in these beliefs? I actually had a limiting belief that I couldn't change my beliefs. That didn't serve me anymore. And as soon as I started bringing that into my awareness and actually working through that, oh my God, I do have the power to create my beliefs. Things started shifting, but it wasn't until I could see that I didn't realize where I was. And in this in between, you're transitioning, you need to integrate and assimilate all the lessons and the learnings to date. So this in between space is where you assimilate everything. So I want you to kind of think in your life about where you are and what you're going through, and thinking like, have I actually allowed time to assimilate that? Or have I been go, 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 go? Am I always pushing to the next thing? I had the belief also that I had to be the good girl and that I was only able to define success by doing all the things, ticking the things off my list, doing, all having the house perfect. Like, how could you be successful if you're constantly got this list of 20 things that mean you're successful and you can never meet them? You'd constantly feel like you're not enough. Which is one of the deeper beliefs that I've recently moved through, is that I'm not enough. And that's where I had to see it as it was, see how it was coming through my life and how it was affecting it. And it was affecting it in all sorts of ways, whether it's, even with friends, with family, with work, feeling like I didn't do enough, feeling like I had to do more. It infiltrates your whole life. But we have the ability when we're moving through this in between and in life as well to see the story, to understand what it is and what the impact is, and then to choose to make a new empowering belief, a new one that actually serves you. So one of the ones that I have at the moment is I am deserving of love. I am enough exactly as I am, whole and complete. I say it every single day. I say it every day. I've got it on my mirror. I'm in the process of reframing this old identity and moving into this new identity. And that's how you can actually create that change. And so when you're moving through this in-between space, it's where you dismantle, the old structures, you explore new possibilities and new ways of being. You can use this as a creative time, lower the expectations, give yourself some capacity and white space. It is uncomfortable, but when you are able to be uncomfortable in that space, you can move through it. And then from that place, once you've figured out what's not working, what needs to be changed, then you can actually create the foundation for the future for a way that actually resonates with who you are and what you love and what you're about. And there's a lot to do with yeah, the trust, the surrendering, the letting go, which is all about, and that's why I love kinesiology. It's like the one thing that has brought me is that groundedness and the ability to let go of the fear and the worries and the anxiety and actually trusting in where you are and what you need through this space and calling on support, calling on ways of being, calling on a community, calling on working with practitioners, whether it's reading books about it, or if you're reading too many books, it's not reading all the self-help books, which is, hey, hands up if you've got lots of self-help books and you never read them all. Yeah, me too. And guess what I needed? And this is part of white space. I needed to let go of those and just read some friggin', like, I don't know if it's called nonfiction or fiction. I can't remember which ones, the ones that like are just airy fairy. I think I read the Ugly Love, the Colleen Hoover one. I loved it. I was like, why have I just been punishing myself reading all these intense self-help books? It's like, that's an example of pushing. It's like, where can you pull back from that? Where can you give yourself some space and time? Where can you take the pressure off? If you're in this in between, what are you moving away from and what are you stepping into? Where can you have that sacred pause? And one of the biggest things I realized about the sacred pause was allowing myself to nap during the day. Like because I've moved through adrenal stuff and adrenal fatigue and stuff, allowing myself to nap, I would often wake up and my body would feel more grounded. I'd feel more connected to myself. I'd be like, whoa, okay, that was amazing. I feel like a new woman. Yes, I might wake up a bit tired because I'm like, God, it's 2 o'clock. But giving your body the permission to rest and pause, you don't realize the impact of that. And in this day and time, we need that. We need the ability to pause. Yes, it will be uncomfortable if you're not used to it. But if you have awareness of where you are, you get the support, you take back those expectations and you give yourself permission to be in that pause. What comes after that is something that you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't given myself that. Yeah, and there might be beliefs and stories that we need to release and let go of. But when you pause, your body can catch up. Your body can assimilate, it can integrate, it can actually move through all that needs to be moved through. And often we think it's really complicated. Our mind goes to doing the 25 things. Oh, I'm not feeling good. I feel like I'm in the in-between. Got to do the 25 things. You need to give yourself some space. Give yourself, let go of expectations. Surrender and let go of anything that isn't, the circle, what's in your control, what's out of your circle. Let go of all that shit and just do that stuff here. Bring it inwards, bring it back to basics, and just focus on what you need. Communicate your needs to your loved ones, your partners, your friends. Tell them where you are. Everyone knows about the space, but they don't talk about it. The more we talk about it, the more we can move through it. The more you honor the in-between, and this is the concept, yeah? The more you honor this in-between, the easier you move through the ebbs and flows. And that's the most important part about this. When you go through the flow, you need the in-between. You honor it, you move through it, then you might go into the ebb, and then the in-between. It's in between each of the phases. So the better you get at honoring the space in between, the easier you're flowing through that whole process. Has anyone got any questions? I don't even know where I see the questions there. So yeah, it was just, I'm pushing and resisting a lot. Would you talk about rebalancing? Yeah, so how to rebalance these is first, understanding where you are. And second, understanding what you need in each of the phases and implementing them. And looking at your flow cycle and what do you need in each phase? What's being required? And there's always, we'll go into some journaling prompts after this, there's always the questions about what isn't working for me anymore and what needs to let go of. In the ebb, there's always the golden insights about, the reflection, shit, I can't believe I did that. Whoa, that was silly. I did too much here. That's why this ebb is real niggly. Does anyone else have any questions before we go to this part here? So yeah, this is just either come off mute or write it in the chat and I can answer it. But what is needed is, yeah, creating white space and capacity, having compassion for yourself, lowering your expectations, feeling the emotions to heal them. When we're in that in between or the ebb, if we're noticing a whole bunch of like guilt coming up. So guilt is a vibration, a frequency, is at, I can't remember which frequency, it's under 200, it's at the lower one. So guilt, shame, anger, all those different things come down here. And when we don't allow ourselves to feel that fully, and we know that energy is, emotion is energy in motion. So if we can feel how we're feeling, give compassion to ourselves, then we can move through that with more ease. And once we've allowed ourselves to feel those lower vibrational energies really in the body and moving them through, getting them out of our system, then we can move up to the first stage is courage. So it's taking aligned action and then move into the love, joy, acceptance, and it goes all the way up. That's actually the frequency of the emotions. I might put that in day 2 or day 3. Having patience for yourself. You've got to have patience for yourself. You can't push yourself too much. That's that pushing and resisting, yeah? So you've got to have patience for yourself. Acceptance of where you are. I'm in the in-between. I'm letting go of this and I'm stepping into this. When we become a mother, we're in the in-between. We're in the between of our old identity and our new identity. And it's really uncomfortable as we let go of what we were and what we're becoming. And sometimes we don't know what we're becoming, and we might not know for ages. But we're in this in-between, so we need to have patience for ourselves. Lower those expectations. There's that list. Sorry, I might swear. It's fuck it. Camilla, you'll laugh at this one because we had it in one of your sessions. Fuck it. I'm not going to do that. What's your fuck it list? Start writing it down. Fuck it. Sorry if anyone's opposed to swearing. Camilla's, yeah. That was such a good session. What's your fuck it list? Okay, I want you to create that. Where can you bring acceptance into where you are? Where can you bring acceptance into what you're moving through? Where can you trust that it's going to be okay? Sometimes our monkey mind doesn't allow us to do that, so we need to do some practices to get us grounded in the body. And then where can you surrender and let go of what no longer serving you or anything that isn't in your best interests? What's calling to be let go of? If you actually slow down your mind and give yourself the ability for the sacred pause, you will start to see the areas and the bits that aren't working. What resists us in these phases? Obviously, what happens, I've talked about the limiting beliefs. We go through life and we have beliefs about everything. They either enhance us or they limit us. Beliefs are powerful. They change your perception. But limiting beliefs are sneaky. They can be there the whole time and you think they're true and that's it, but they're not. I have had so many beliefs. I can't change my beliefs. I'm not good enough. And I've been shifting those. And once you shift them, your whole perception in life changes. What stories are you telling yourself? After I went through the postnatal anxiety and PTSD, I had so many beliefs and stories about my capacity and my ability to deal with life because I was capped then, because I wasn't able to take on everything that I normally did. I placed myself in this in between and had so many limiting beliefs and stories because I needed to peel them back and go, actually, you've moved through that. You can do this now. You have more capacity. Your nervous system is grounded. It's stable. You're okay. You can do this. What conditions are we placing on ourselves, our happiness, our life? I'll be happy when I do that job and leave this thing. I'll be happy when I finally get this sorted. I'll be happy when finally I have no health things that I'm doing. Well, guess what? You can be happy now with those things, and it's all a choice. And if we can create the awareness around it, we can create that internally within us. We've got the big T traumas and the little T traumas. Little T can be the ones that happen through life that, our parents didn't meet our emotional needs, or that we weren't allowed space to process stuff, or we had lots of anger that we didn't know how to deal with. Or the big T trauma when there's, incidences and accidents and losing loved ones and lots of big stuff. All of those can impact how we move through these phases, because imagine them like little morsels of emotion and stress that are stuck in our nervous system and that need the space because we've allowed the sacred pause to come out and be seen. But if we're not allowing ourselves that space and that time to be with those things and see them, they are just incomplete stress responses that keep looping in that limbic brain. they'll just pile up and we'll feel like we have no capacity. We'll feel like we don't have the ability to deal with things. We feel like we're not able to deal with emotions or anything because our capacity and these morsels are sitting in our system, taking up all the space. And we need a way to get them out. And there's this concept of weeding and then like gardening with the roots. And it's like when we weed, we do the daily maintenance things of breathing and walking outside and doing the things. And then there's that gets the weeds out. We've got the gardening concept. And this is why I'm so passionate about doing the deep work, which is where we get the roots of the stuff out. We get right to the core. We go past these protector parts of ourselves and we actually get these big roots out. And it's a combination of the two. We don't just do the daily maintenance. We need to do both of them because that's when we're getting those morsels out and we're actually releasing them from our system and freeing up our whole mind and body. And then obviously we've talked about the pushing and resisting through each of the phases as well, and how that can affect us being stuck in either an ebb or we're stuck in this in between. And it wasn't until I kind of realized that I was stuck in the in-between that I knew, I'm actually letting go of an old way of being and moving into a new one. And that's when I got the awareness to actually move through that and take back my power. And so once we move through this in-between, which is the liminal space, we've got this luminal space, which is a space of flow, clarity, where you're aligned with your true self, you're living authentically, and you're co-creating with life. And when we do the deep work and we understand those ebbs and flows, we can predominantly operate from this liminal space. Yes, we're always going to go through the ebb and the flow, but we're not going to get stuck in that in between or the ebb. We're going to be able to navigate through that, and then we become where we co-create with life, where we're connected to our intuition, our grounding. We know what we want. We can see, yes, there's a hard time, but we know we can move through that, and we can co-create with life and create exactly what we want. So, a lot of talking. What I want to do is I want you to grab out a pen and paper. And I also want you to think about everything that I've talked about today. And I want you to write down where you are in your journey right now. Where do you think you are? And I also want you to, how does that feel in your body? What are you feeling? Where are you and what are you feeling? I'm just going to put some music on while I oh, hang on. So where are you? Oh. Okay. Can you still see my screen? No. No, cool. Just going to share sound. I'm going to bring back up the questions. Okay, can you see the screen and hear the music? Cool. So I want you to think about where you are in your journey right now. How does that phase feel in your body? And then I also want you to think about what am I resisting about this? Or where am I pushing? Yes, and I would love people to share. Yeah. So write it down, but then you can share in the chat or say, like, I'd love to hear from you where you are, what you're navigating through. And we might go over time today as well, guys. Sorry. What are you resisting about this phase that you're in? Or where are you pushing? So yeah. Third one is, if I fully trusted in this phase, how would I allow myself to be? And then the fourth one is, what's one thing I can do to honor where I am without forcing the next step? So feel free to just write as you want to write. These are just prompts. They're not like the be all end all. What I actually want you to do is have the awareness of where you might be. Understand how that feels in your body. Oh, does it feel uncomfortable, uncertain? Is it full of doubt? What could you be resisting about this space? And what you're doing right now is you're doing the sacred pause. You've paused your life 1 hour to learn about this space, to see where you are, to understand it more. And then just let me know when you guys feel like sharing. You can either jump off mute or you can pop it in the chat, or you don't have to share it all. And also welcoming any questions about these concepts of the in-between, the ebb, the flow, the natural flow of life. This is my lived experience. You know, I'm not an expert in this, but I feel like it's something that I want to keep understanding and sharing with everyone. Yeah, so if you notice yourself resisting or pushing, I want you to really think or answer the question, where can I let go? Or what can I let go of? What can I let go of? What can I give myself? What do I need in my life? Am I needing the sacred pause? Am I needing compassion? It's not until we actually let go that then we can actually bring in, we create the space. And then once you let go, how would I allow myself to actually be if I let go of all of that? You might be operating off conditioning of your parents when you're younger, being the good girl, being the have to do it all, the high achiever. Maybe that is not serving you anymore. Maybe it's time to let go of. How could I allow myself to be if I didn't have to be all the ways that the world wants me to be? What can you put in your fuck it list? I've got a few things. Not having the house tidy like it needs to be. Allowing myself to have a mess, be chaotic sometimes, whatever. Doesn't mean anything about me. Accepting all sides of you. What side of you are you not accepting? What polarity in your life are you pushing away? You to really think about that. Today's just about awareness. What stories are you telling yourself? What old ways of thinking aren't working anymore? What do you need to dissolve? Yeah, so thanks, Camilla, for sharing. I'm in liminal space. I feel interested. I'm resisting going through, weeding the limiting beliefs and stories and letting go of connections. Yeah. So It would create space to build something new. Yes. Also a new relationship with myself and my husband. Amazing. I'd allow myself to put my needs first. I love that. Speak up about my needs. Yes. Allow yourself to take up space. I love that. Do some art. And finally, book flights to Wellington. Yes. This is so powerful. I love all of that, Camilla. And talking to the relationship piece after children, yeah. Wow. How much does that change? I'm in the in-between, the liminal space with my husband right now. The way that we were isn't the way we are now. We used to party and all of our funness was created on party times. It's not like that anymore, but we have to create a new way of being together. And that's really uncomfortable. But we're getting there. And like Camilla says, it's about speaking my needs first, putting myself first and speaking my needs. Does anyone else want to share what they've got? I love that, Camilla. Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. What a cool awareness.
It's Vanilla here. I've always had people in my life telling me what to do. And so I'm actually making decisions about, I've just moved here,
Yeah.
but I'm actually thinking about moving to the South Island.
Amazing.
And a lot of people are trying to talk me out of it, but I'm actually saying that this is my decision and I'm on my journey.
Yes. Yes. You're taking radical responsibility of your life.
Yes,
How does that feel?
great.
Yes.
So I've become a bit stubborn, and I just have to be firm with some friends and say, look, everybody has their own journey, and this is what I'm
Yep.
looking at.
Yep. Awesome. So you're speaking your truth and your
Yes.
needs and taking
And
radical responsibility for your life.
yeah,
And I
and one of
promise
my
you,
friends
yeah.
said to me, I'm so proud of you. It's about time.
Yes. And what will come from that is huge.
Yes.
Like that's amazing. And by the way, the South Island with all the mountains has like crystal clear quartz. Like the mountains have crystal clear quartz actually in them, so they're really high vibrational. So lots of shifts can happen in the South Island. That's the biggest thing that I've
Yeah.
realized down here as well.
I'm looking at Oamaru.
Cool. Awesome. I'm just looking at more of the comments. Yeah, Amber, I'm exhausted from being in liminal space for the past 6 months. Yeah, huge shifts, identity and legacy. I understood I was in that space and that it would be discovery of letting go of certain beliefs. Yeah, I want to stop being the people pleaser and standing my ground, being brave and not taking any shit. Yeah, Amber. What else does your body need though? What else do you need in this space? Like what do you need? I want to hear what you need. Yeah, rest. I felt that too.
Hi everyone. Yeah, rest is a big one for me because my work takes me, when I'm in work like 12 hours a day, and then I haven't had a break between the last job, which started on Friday, and this job, which started on Monday, and then I've got another job that starts in 2 weeks, and no break. But my breaks are taking the time, like on the weekends I'm going hiking this weekend, and last weekend I went walking 12k walk in the Waisakiris, and
Yeah.
going to Noosa in a month for a week, and just
Yes.
making space for myself.
Yes. So that's
Yeah.
you. Yeah. White space, capacity, nervous system regulation.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
And
letting
awesome.
go of those ways of being.
Yeah. And that's really exciting, Finella. You go. It's so great down there.
Do it. Proud of you. Proud of you. Oh, that's really cool. I'm just going to turn
Thank
that.
you. I'm actually going out of my comfort zone. I'm doing the
Yes.
steampunk event in May.
What's that?
It's sort of a bit Victorian Gothic type thing. They have a big event down there.
Oh,
And so I'm going out of my comfort zone. I'm shy in groups normally, and I've decided I'll go by myself and
yes.
get involved in everything.
Yes. See, that's the conditioning and the stories. I'm shy by
Mm.
myself, but you're taking responsibility and then you're recreating that story. And do you know what? When I talked about that vibrational frequencies of the lower ones, the first one that it takes to go to the higher ones is courage. And courage comes with aligned action. So the action that you take, which is aligned with where you want to go, brings you into the higher vibrations. So what you're doing by moving, by doing these things, you're pushing yourself into that level, which is so exciting. That's the liminal to luminal space.
Thank you for the lovely comments, everyone.
You're welcome. Let's see if there's any more. Yeah. Yay, Caitlin. Thank you so much for joining. I was meant to give you one other thing as well. Does anyone else want to share? And then I'll give you one little technique, which you'll probably all know anyway, but you can use this as you move through in between spaces. Let me know if anyone else wants to share. Wants to share and I'll stop talking. But the one technique I want you to use, oh yeah, Margaret, we'll just read this actually. Margaret, I'm in liminal space right now, being pulled and pushed. I'm feeling full of energy, ready to reach my goal one day. I'm feeling stuck and frustrated the next day. Yep. I'm resisting and I'm anxious about not being loved because I've not got a stable job, because I'm not successful. So these are the beliefs and stories that you're noticing, because I'm not enough. Yeah. Tried to go with the flow, yeah, and I'm not trusting my higher self enough, and my anxiety is playing loud. Yeah. Yeah, so resting, meditation, breath work, relaxing, grounding, go stare at the sea. Yes. And also, while you're noticing these beliefs coming up, Margaret, I want you to feel the feelings of them. So feel that feeling of not being loved because of the stable job is successful enough, but then also we'll go through this in day 2 as well. What's the empowering thing that you want to bring in instead of that? So I am loved, I am enough, I accept all parts of me. And then I'll go into this in the next 2 days, we reprogram those parts of ourselves. So you've got amazing awareness of where you are, and yeah, resting, meditation, breath work, and remember the weeding and the deep rooted work while you're in this space as well. So pulling on your resources where you can, and grounding and staring at the sea. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Margaret. You're amazing, and here to support you in any way as well. So the technique that I want to share with you guys today is the ESR technique. Now, I naturally use that, and you've all had kinesiology sessions with me where I'm holding the top of your head. But as you're moving through these spaces and navigating the in-between all the ebb and flow, I want you to use, yeah, we're about to finish anyway, Camilla, that's awesome. Oh, tomorrow on Friday, yeah, no worries. I want you to use this technique called ESR. So there's 2 points on your head, just here, and you can either hold them like this, or you can hold them like that, whatever feels best for you. And what this does is this called ESR, which is emotional stress release. So as you're moving through stuff, having your hand on here is releasing the emotions. It's allowing you to feel the emotions, energy and motion. If you give yourself 90 seconds, you'll move through it. And it's also moving you from survival brain into your prefrontal cortex so you can think clearly. So I want you to just close down your eyes and just noticing the sensations in the body. Imagine it like a little movie that's playing. You might notice tweaks in your body. You might notice your heart racing, or you might feel calm, or your head's really loud. Just being with it, moving through it, telling your body it's safe to be here. You're grounded, you're secure. And actually, while we're here, I'm gonna guide you through a little meditation. This is a little added extra bit that I'm adding in, but I want you to imagine a golden white light coming down through the top of your crown, traveling through the center of your crown, your throat, your heart, going down through the middle of your stomach, going down through your sacral, your root chakra, down your legs. Imagine that golden light going out your feet and traveling through the center of the earth's core. I want you to imagine it traveling through, and it's going to go right to the middle and this diamond crystalline core, and it's dipping in there, and it's connecting into Mama Gaia, Mama Earth, getting all her grounding frequencies. And you're going to gather up that unconditional love, acceptance, trust, surrendering, being with what is, going with the flow. Unconditional love. You're dipping that golden light in there. You're going to imagine that coming out of that diamond crystalline waters, traveling back up through the earth's core, right up to the bottom of your feet on the earth star chakra, which is your little microcosmic universe. I'm going to get you to imagine that spinning around like a golden plate at the bottom of your feet. It's going to spin around your feet, around like a golden bubble, all the way around your body, protecting your body, connecting you to your intuition, grounding you in your being, going up, down, around the legs, the hips, the tummy, the shoulders, the neck, the head. And then you're going to close it off at the head. And I want you to imagine this golden bubble, which is your center for your intuition and knowing, your grounding. And then sending that little golden light up through the top of your crown and sending all the way up to God, universe, spirit, the heavens, connecting you to source. And so by just holding your hand on your forehead, that's processing your emotions. It's getting you out of survival mode. I want you to use this as you're moving through the liminal space, as you're moving through the in-between, as you're moving through the ebbs. What do I need? What is my body needing? What clarity do I need right now? What acceptance do I need? We're letting go. And so when you're ready, just taking your hand off, moving your body as much as you need, moving your arms, stretching, and just grounding your energy. So that's just a little meditation just to ground your body. But essentially the ESRs you can use anywhere, anytime. You literally are just holding those 2 points on the head and connecting those. And that is a beautiful way to move through these spaces, a beautiful way to stop the chatter of the mind and come into your prefrontal cortex. So I want you to call on that whenever you need it. Remember, 90 seconds to release an emotion. The more we release them, the more we allow the flows and the ebbs. So just feeling that in the body, noticing how that feels for you. And I'd love if anyone wants to share how do they feel? What was their biggest takeaway from today? What did you like? What resonated? Was there anything anyone wants to share? We can just do a couple of minutes. I know that we've gone over, sorry.
Hi, everyone. I want to share that I feel a little disorientated after this final meditation, but it's good because my inner chatter has finally stopped. As I'm going through that challenging situation with my husband, which was created on Saturday, it's very good timing for me to be in your workshop.
Yay.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'll send you a video of the ESR as well, which goes into it more detail. That little connection thing isn't in it. I just did that for you guys now, but you can draw on that anytime, okay?
Will you be sending those slides?
Yep. So I'll send the slides, I'll send the recording, and I'll send the ESR technique from today.
Great.
And I'll also send the details of that book, Radical Acceptance, because there's also one called Radical Compassion, which changed the game for me on my relationship with myself in regards to being too critical of myself and not loving myself. So I found that reading Radical Compassion really helped before reading Radical Acceptance, because I softened my relationship with myself and gave it more love, and then it turned into acceptance. But I'll put that in there as well. Okay. Thank you for sharing, Camilla, and coming. Cool. So you're welcome, Margaret. Oh, you're doing the mirror work. Yes. Thanks, Amber. Yay. Yeah, the sacred pause, honestly. So yeah, I want you to think about your journaling stuff. And tomorrow we're going into reclaiming your power and radical responsibility. So today we've looked at awareness of where we are and what could be holding us back. And tomorrow we're going to reclaim some of that. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'll try and keep it to an hour. Sorry. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. If you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll send the stuff out by email. Okay? Lots of love. Thanks for coming, team. Bye. Bye.